Double Dragon.
Yeah, yeah. So when we discussed the direction we want to go in, and you said, "Well, I think we have better content when we discuss bad movies."
I take it back.
I I immediately I was like, "Okay, are you ready for this?" And I don't know what made me think this specific movie. Um, but yeah, so I used to take this out. I used to check it out at Home Run Video in Virginia Beach, Virginia,
Okay.
more than probably a handful of times. I think that I was the single person that rented it and like wore their tape out because I loved this movie as a kid. And looking back at it now, I mean, I can see why I liked it as a kid, but
Yeah.
I submit it has merit.
I I was very impressed with what they did considering their budget.
Uh,
I do want to
so
clarify something though. What I was saying was not that we have better content with bad movies, but that we have better content when we are making fun of the movie.
oh, okay,
But
okay.
man, okay, so I had a blast watching this movie, by the way.
Yay!
I'm not going to say it was a result of the quality of the film, but I enjoyed the
No,
time spent.
good.
Um,
At least we should have a scale of elephant. Like where does it range? How much better is it than elephant?
we should have two scales, one for enjoyability and one for quality. Because quality, it's in the basement. Uh,
Sure.
it is like you feel bad for the actors having to stand there and pretend that they're scared of the like we want Chunk or we want Sloth from Goonies, but like don't spend any money. Just just cover him in like the great stuff foam, paint it to look like skin, and if the actor dies, so be it.
So be it. It's for the art. All
But
right. So
like,
Double
yeah,
Dragon, 1994. It starts with a narration.
it starts with
Um,
like a backstory that will not come up again. And it's like
no.
the whole point of the backstory is like there's two parts to the amulet. And if you learn nothing else about the thing from the narration, you're fine because none of it is coming up again.
I love that it says somewhere in China,
Like they couldn't look at a
and then
map and pick a place in China and be like, there, that's where it
yeah,
is. It's somewhere in
somewhere in
China.
China. And the first dialogue spoken in the movie uh is "Come on, yeah," because I had the subtitles on.
And the
So
horse
like
guy.
someone that's supposed to be, I guess, Chinese, and they say "Come on, yeah" to a
No,
horse.
those were the thugs, the sparkle ninjas.
Yeah,
Um,
well, they still had some Asian folks in it, but anyway, I just thought that was funny. So yeah,
somewhere
they
in China. By the way,
somewhere in China,
here's our Tibetan monks.
yeah, they rape and pillage, and they get the spirit or the soul side of the dragon and amulet. So that gets taken back to New Angeles
Hold on,
in the far.
the cave the amulet is in is like covered wall to wall in candles, not like lights that look like candles. Like there was a monk in there an hour earlier just lighting candles
Lighting
all over that
candles.
goddamn cave. And so like I cracked up because like it said somewhere in China, and these guys who look almost exactly like Tibetan monks, they all their outfits are made from the same spool of fabric. Like they had one color, red, and it is pants, it is shirt, but they made this like Tibetan monk look. And I was like, that's exactly what the Chinese government does to Tibetan monks. They just get beat up by everyone. And like that fight
It's
scene was
nuanced.
hysterical. Yeah. It's a subtle commentary on the mistreatment.
It's a free Tibet commentary
Of Buddhists in
yeah.
Tibet, yeah.
I
Chinese
bet Richard
Taipei.
Gere was a investor. So we get the soul side by
It
Lash.
is not in any way clear that is the soul side.
No.
Yeah,
Not
Lash,
at all. No,
Lash, the blonde, maybe 20-something American ninja.
Yeah. And what's funny, so her name is Linda Lash. I always enjoyed trying to find the thugs from the game in the movie. So Linda she's the one with the whip in the game. So, but she doesn't look the same. Linda Lash in the video game has like an updo perm and a lot of junk in her trunk, and she shows it off. This one, I mean, she's blonde, and I guess she probably has a good body, but it's covered completely. So they didn't even exploit her for the film. They cared so much about the integrity of the game that they didn't show any skin from the one attractive person they had in the entire movie.
Whoa.
Okay, one of two.
Look, you can tell that the other female was meant to be the attractive one because they gave her short hair. And in 80s movies, and this is an 80s movie, even though they made it in 94, you could tell the romantic interest because she would have short hair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Man, I completely forgot Alyssa Milano was in this movie. For like 1 second. So, yeah, one of two. So it takes place in New Angeles in the far distant 2007 dystopian future.
Distant future of 2007. Where
they didn't even... This was 10 years in the future, essentially. I mean, give it some time. It was 6 years. 6 years from when they made it to when the big quake is supposed to happen.
Right.
I remember that being like a huge thing, even though growing up on the East Coast, people were like, it's just going to be one more earthquake, and then California is going to be into the ocean. That's it. And that was
Lex
a huge
Luthor was
talking
right
point.
all along.
Yeah. So, and they give you like a shot of the skyline, and it's so awesome because there's these huge fans that are supposed to blow the smog away, just blowing the smog, and everything is held up on jacks. Right. So when there's aftershocks, you got to like pump the hydraulic jack to make sure that the building doesn't fall over.
You got the little guy down there who's trying to keep that building inflated. He is furiously masturbating the dome in which they're having a karate tournament.
And then they do this awesome commercial for Jack City, where they're like, if you didn't get your jack from us and you don't know Jack City. And for some reason, those guys remind me of the Mario Brothers.
Like the TV show.
I don't know
totally
why.
See it.
Yeah, they remind me of the Mario Brothers, and the whole aesthetic of this city reminds me of the Mario Brothers movie.
Man, oh yeah,
with the cars and the flames, but I think they had electric cars in the Mario Brothers movie. But yeah, the whole aesthetic, I'm like, this is the Mario Brothers movie. Oh. So I don't know if these two screenwriters got together, shared like a not a dime, like a 8-ball of crack or coke or something. Yeah, and they're like, oh, you're doing a future city that's like destroyed to hell. Like, well, I want to do that. And it's like, but you're just supposed to be in the Mushroom Kingdom. He's like, fuck that. It doesn't matter.
We're post-apocalyptic Manhattan. That is exactly Mario Brothers. No, but so like, what cracks me up about this is like the premise of the bad guy is that he's like the wealthiest guy in the world who's like trying to become a politician, I think, or something, or like a gangster. And he is Vanilla Ice by way of Rob Schneider. And he's supposed to be really cool because this is an 80s movie. They made him look like Vanilla Ice. And
it's Robert Patrick. It's Robert Patrick.
But he like
T-1000.
He could not care less about anything going on. Like every time something crazy happens, he's like, "Yep, this is what's going on now." And it's fine. And he speaks like he is Satan himself, having been drawn to this planet to do evil. Like he talks about the earthquake as a prophecy of his coming. And I'm like, who is sitting there like, yes, when I decide to move to LA, it's going to be like disasters will occur so they know I've arrived. Like, he's so evil. Like, I'm surprised he didn't just start taking bites out of puppies while sitting there delivering his evil speech. Oh, so the thugs bring him the amulet, and he's like gives this speech about how the amulet's finally there, and he opens it up and realizes they only have half of it. Did he not tell them what it looked like? Did he send them to China for an amulet and give them no description of what it looked like?
Yeah, because they look confused when they're like, "Oh,
It's
there's
only
another
half."
part."
Like, did he not go, the drawing I showed you? We pulled it up on Google.
We had a PowerPoint about it, remember? We sat down. I told you to get there 10 minutes early, so I knew that you'd be there on time. And we went over the whole thing.
And what cracks me up is it's 2007, and she calls on this satellite phone. Lash calls on the satellite phone to tell him, yeah, we got it. And at no point does she describe it, say it's the gold one with like a single dragon on it and only one, just to make sure. She travels all the way back to, California with half an amulet. So I love that.
So
I'm excited about it.
We have our two leads, our brothers.
But he uses the stone, so he uses the amulet, and like we know, one is for body, one is for soul, and he turns like two-dimensional and monochrome. And I was watching the movie, and I look over at my wife, and I go, "Which stone is that?" Like, I don't think that fits either the body or soul stone. Which is it? And it's only later when he's like, the soul amulet. Right. And I was like, oh, okay. So he's like a soul when he's, the paper thin guy from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. When Christopher Lloyd gets squished. That's what he looks like, but he's supposed to be like villainous. All right. So off to the underground karate tournament.
Right.
Where there are
with
like
our
12-year-olds on the bench. The Brothers Lee.
The Brothers Lee. You have Billy and Jimmy. Billy is I think this is still pre-Party of Five, Scott Wolf.
Yeah.
And then you have the chairman himself from Iron Chef America, Mark Dacascos.
So his name is Billy Lee. He has Lily as part of his name. And I could not let that go the whole movie. I was like, Billy Lee. Billy Lee. And like every time
call him William.
No one calls him William. They call him Billy Lee. But yeah, they're in a karate tournament against what has to be Cobra Kai. They are like the malicious evil guys we're never going to see again. They're just like the evil guys who they're facing in the tournament. The tournament brought to you by the little guy keeping the building inflated.
Jack City, yeah.
Jack City. But like, I couldn't tell if this was like an above the board tournament or like underground fighting ring, because like it seems like there's a trophy which gives it legitimacy, and there's like little kids around in karate gi, so you think like little kids are like competing, but at the same time they are like bare knuckle beating the shit out of each other, like full
Right.
contact. You're not going to survive this. And like the karate gis are all dirty from the sweat and blood of the previous fights to get to the end. And like maybe this, like whoever wrote this was just like had a really bad karate experience as a kid, or like that's what they
Maybe.
thought karate was, tournaments were like.
Well, I mean, there's no way to tell because the entire city's been run to shit. So it's
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
I mean, it could very well be legitimate, and because they have aftershocks several times a day, it's like, why bother fixing most of this stuff?
And so they've got a woman in their corner who I honestly don't know what she has to do with anyone.
Yeah, there's a whole thing about like how their father asked her to like look after them, which would mean that she's a good deal older, I would think, but she's doesn't seem it. And then yeah, and she apparently, like we find out later, knows our villain Kogo Shuko, but knows him as, God, what was it? Vincent Geisman was
Yeah,
like
like
his
white
such
name.
a white guy name. Like he was a computer programmer.
Yeah, uh like this is our accountant turned, I've decided to study the mystical arts of China.
I purposely didn't say accountant because not all accountants are squares.
Oh, I apologize to all accountants.
Because I was gonna say CPA, but
Okay.
then I changed it to computer programmer because
See,
they're the squares.
oh, that's, yeah. That's true.
Wait, you're a computer programmer, aren't you?
No, but I know quite a few of them. Man. So
we finish our tournament, and see, I have this first, but I think it doesn't happen. We see the news. They have a news segment with George Hamilton and Vanna White as the
Vanna
anchors,
White
and Andy Dick as the media, like the weatherman on News Channel 69, which obviously is a joke.
So I think that is the most fictional part of the movie. I can buy the earthquake taking out Los Angeles and us just leaving it there propped up by jacks, but I will not believe that Andy Dick was supposed to have a career past like 96. Him still being around and relevant, that is complete fiction. Cannot buy it. I'm sorry.
But yeah, and that's completely just not it's not even a thing. It's just, oh, here's George Hamilton. Like they don't try and say that they're characters. It's like, nope, this is these out of work actors
who are doing the news because LA was destroyed. I think that's the joke, is that their shows are filmed in LA and they have nothing else to do. But yeah, they had several of those where it's like, we cut into your movie to present stupid ideas of what 1994 would have thought of 2007. Like Madonna being married to Tom Arnold.
Yep.
And
which was awesome.
I mean, holy crap, that's yeah. So anyway,
so we've got our brothers. They're leaving the tournament,
and then
they're going down the street, and Billy's like, "Oh, pull over this. She looks like my type." There's a person that's in a broken down car, dressed in a dress. They pull over, and it's a Mohawk gang member. and they're confronted by just this Warriors reject gang.
I love the Warriors.
Led by Bo Abobo and his goofy sidekick, which is Gary from the Weird Science series.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah,
I had
John Asher.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to watch Weird Science a lot as a kid. It was one of my favorite USA shows or whatever. But I actually saw the series before the movie. But yeah, so Bo Abobo.
I don't know like who the actor was who played him, but the makers of this movie thought he was like the shooting star, and he just needed this platform to launch him forward, because they do not shy away from him. They're not like, yeah, we've got this guy, he's kind of big and pretty dumb. They're like, this man is going to take on everybody. And they're like zooming in on his face, glossing over the fact that he's wearing chaps while driving a truck. Like,
he has more screen time than Satori does.
He does.
Who was one of the...
Yeah.
She's the mentor of the brothers. I don't think we've mentioned that. That's her name.
Is that Satori? She's the Yoda.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
She's the plot device that gets them the amulet.
Right. Okay. And
this movie doesn't pass the Bechdel test, by the way.
Does not in any way. Man. Well, I guess it kind of does, because when she ties up Lash, she says she normally just knocks them unconscious or like kills them or something like that. She describes.
Well, I guess it is one conversation without a man.
Yeah, and it's not about a man. Yeah, it's about bondage.
Which is just as good.
Just as good. So yeah, so the encounter with the Mohawks leads to a chase with the discount Ecto 1 that they're driving, which is like had to be like the director's mom's station wagon.
It's a station wagon, and it's got wood on the side.
It's a woody station wagon with like an exhaust pipe going out the top and leading to just fire coming out the back. And it is not an internal combustion engine. No, sir.
No.
This is steam powered. They are grabbing trash and burning it in what looks to be a wood-fired kiln that they have built into their station wagon.
It's like the Mr. Garbage from Back to the Future.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like, except not nearly as cool. It's really just like a bucket with a red light at the bottom.
Mr. Fusion, if you will. So Bo Abobo, they fend off the goons, and then they get into a car chase. And Billy's looking through, trying to find garbage, and he finds a map, and it's got Cheese Whiz all over it. And he throws it out the window on a wing and a prayer, and sure enough lands right in the vision on the windshield of Bo. And so he's like, "How are we gonna chase him if we can't see him?" And so then he's like, "No problem."
The greatest cost-saving measure when your action movie is like, we need a car chase. It needs to be big and destructive, but we cannot damage cars because this is my mom's station wagon. And
so then you get a kid that has a version of Kid Pix that came with his Apple computer.
That's right.
And he draws what he thinks a car looks like, which is just so we have the car chase of these two. Just they don't move fluidly. It's like
Yeah,
And
and it
somehow
is
he has a tracking device on their car so he can find out where they're at on the map. This
the
car had navigation before most cars had power windows.
it is the greatest computer animated car chase of the 1980s. Um, like I think the 80s would have been embarrassed to have had computer graphics this bad. Like, and
Could you
but yeah,
imagine if it was like that in Escape from New York?
right. But okay, so like also in the car, they like look up the brothers, they research them. They're like, oh, it's the Lee brothers, and who have this like big bad rap sheet that we never see. Like we don't know
Right.
what their reputation is, but for some reason everyone knows who they are.
And they called them Ugg and Home,
Ugly and homely.
which Bobo does not get. He's like, okay, whatever, that's their names. He doesn't get it until later, I think. So they crash, and they're about to go toe to toe with Bo, and then all of a sudden he's like, he actually says, "Get out of here," which is what I've been saying my entire life because of this movie. It's one of those things that has stuck with me forever. Just like when I meet someone named Patrick, I say Patrick, like from Eternal Sunshine.
Oh, okay. I was
So
like,
then the
is that a
guy, yeah,
SpongeBob reference?
no. So the brothers are like, "Hey, we're more intimidating than we think," and they're like, "No, it's actually the Power Core led by Marion, Alyssa Milano,
The Power
and
Core,
like
which
they,
okay, to describe them as like the world's most colorful gang would be like a disservice to it. Think like Will Smith's dress up from the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, like the types of pants he would wear, but make that into like all kinds of different outfits worn by this like the whitest kids there
oh
are
yes,
gang.
privilege left and right."
And man, Bobo looks at them and is like, I don't know what that is, but I want no part of it.
Yeah,
No part of it.
but they come rappelling and angel rappelling down the
Yeah.
sides. So I'm like, these kids know how to rappel.
They know
They've got these
parkour.
graffiti jackets.
Yeah.
And they're like standing against the wall, like they've been standing against that wall to camouflage themselves, and now they're like, yeah, now we'll reveal ourselves
Except that
because
we
now
saw
you're
them like
here.
coming over the roof. Like we knew they were there. Who are they hiding from? Bobo looked up. He saw them like,
Yeah,
okay, I see them. There's more of them.
yeah.
And okay. But anyway, yeah. So we're introduced to Alyssa Milano, who's like, hey, guys, you're so famous for whatever it is you're famous for. We want you to join the Power Core, which we don't know what that is either. And I was like, you should listen to her. And you can tell, like, they're really trying to sexualize her. Like, they have this shot of her bent over, but they also
Twice.
know she's not like, yeah, twice. But it's like the most awkward sexualizing of a character ever. Like they don't like focus on any of her body parts. They just show her awkwardly bent over.
Yeah. Yeah, the first one, I think she's got that jacket on. She bends
Yeah.
over, and it's like you can kind of see like
You can see the
where
back of her
her
thighs.
shorts are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can see the back of her thighs, but that's about it. And trust me, I paused and zoomed in and was really looking to see if there was
So Marion's father is the police chief because, of course, he is.
right. She's
And
Batgirl.
He's outspoken on the gangs because at night they have a curfew, and that's when the gangs come out. But that's also when Power Core comes out.
But she's Batgirl. She's the police chief's daughter who's
We're all right.
out fighting crime by night.
and she has this short, like you said, very like buzzed blonde hair that she hides under this atrocious wig. If her father is the police chief, he's doing a bad job if he, one, can't realize that his daughter's wearing a wig, and two, that she disappears literally every night and is leading this gang. Her brother knows.
Yeah. And like her dad calls like the Power Core terrorists, which is the first time I was like, oh, maybe they're not just a gang. Maybe they are like actual terrorists. But what are they fighting against? Like, what's their platform? Are they trying to save the planet? Who knows? But it's important that they continue their work.
You think that they're fighting for power, for energy. I don't know. They want free energy.
I guess. But
so they're sitting down to breakfast, and there's a box of Shuko Krispies, which they just taped the word Shuko or sticker over a box of Rice Krispies. So that kind of gives you an inside look and I never noticed this before. I never noticed how many times this company's logo was everywhere. And like the little head ponytail wrap thing that the two Asian guys wear is the Shuko logo, which all these little details I never picked up on. But yeah, they have a box of Coke or Rice Krispies that they've put a Shuko sticker over. So you see just how inundated he is in the world, because I'm sure that's not just an NA, since it's not LA anymore, thing. He's bought out, what is it, Post or General Mills, whoever makes it.
Oh, maybe.
So then they go to the theater where they live. So they're just kind of kicking back. Oh, we could have won the tournament, had blah, blah, blah. And then there's a knock on the door, and it's Shuko.
Who knows
Shuko.
Who knows the address of these guys.
And he knows Marion.
Yeah.
Vincent Geisman. And we never find out who his old persona is or why he changed. If he's from
a much cooler name.
St. Louis, Missouri, and now he's here in New Angeles.
I have an idea.
Amassed all this wealth.
I have an idea on that one. I think they wanted the bad guy to be named Kashuko, but they also wanted the bad guy to be white. So
maybe
to address that,
maybe it's like an Anthony Hopkins in the Transformers series. Like maybe Robert Patrick's kid loved the Double Dragon game. And he's like, wouldn't it be cool if you were in the movie? And he's like, oh, fine.
I had the thought that maybe...
It does look like he had fun.
Yeah, maybe. Or at least a lot of drugs. One of those two got him through the filming of this movie.
Maybe it was a lot of fun to film, and we're just knocking on it because it's just not very good. But maybe,
I did have fun watching it.
I bet if you talk to Scott Wolf, you're like, Scott, what's the best or the most fun you had making a movie? He's like, look, man, I haven't been in many films, but I had a lot of fun doing Double Dragon.
Okay, so the bad guys show up at the theater, and the Brothers Lee go off to fight the two henchmen.
Yeah, in a set that looks like it was designed by the American Gladiators crew.
Right? Like, they just leave all this stuff laying around. Like, they don't clean.
Who has a cargo net? Who has a cargo net?
That goes
Unless you're building a jungle gym for a child.
Yeah, and like the gumball machine that's full of gumballs, but also like not against the wall. It's like in the middle of the room. Like this
everything
is
was very purposely set up.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a Double Dragon arcade cabinet somewhere in this movie that I remember seeing, but so I missed it this time around.
There is. It's Actually, it is in the last fight.
Is it
in the power
in the
cores.
power core building?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
But yeah, so this
So they fight
elaborate
these guys.
fight is awesome because like it's just a bunch of set pieces. Like I guess we'll go over there and use brooms now. I guess we'll yeah. And so meanwhile, Kashuko is fighting Yoda, and what's her name? Starts with the mess. Satori. And she like
Satori Hanzo.
There we go. So she like kicks him and he goes flying, but he goes flying through a canvas wall that is very clearly the set of a theater. And he's like, ah, and he's gone. And she's like, ah. And then he comes back, like walks through the wall, like, come on, that was fake. Like,
yeah,
this is a set and this is boring. And I couldn't help but think like this is the actor coming out like, could we not have put like a fake window there? This is a canvas like sheet. I fell through a bed sheet. Come on. But then we get to the really, really contrived, bizarre setup where the building is on fire.
Oh, you missed Boa Bobo coming back.
Oh, that's right. Okay. All right. So Boa Boba is like working for Kashuko, right?
Kogashuko, yeah.
Kogashuko. And they go down to the basement where there's a lab, but the weirdest, the dumbest like set design ever. They go to an elevator that one doesn't have a door really. And two, the floor is the same in the office as it is in the elevator, and there's no transition. It is like seamless to go to the elevator. So you just literally watch a bunch of actors go stand in what looks like a box, stand in and turn around, and then the scene cuts, and you see them in that same box on a different set. And
that's
you're
awesome.
to, I guess, assume it's an elevator, but at no point was I really convinced that was in any way a functioning elevator.
Huh. I completely missed that.
I mean, like, there's a footage of an elevator between the two shots, but like, it doesn't in any way look like an elevator when they're getting in or out of that box.
Huh.
So they go down to the basement and they, I guess, are injecting stuff into him.
Venom. Yeah,
And,
like that's what Bane got.
But it's like the huge discount version because he comes out of it far less capable than he ever was beforehand. Like, he doesn't, like, they're like, you'll be as strong as 10 men. And he's like, I already am. And they're like, well, it does other stuff. Look, this is a plot hole. Please stop digging in it. And like, he comes into the theater scene where these guys are fighting, and he's just like barely able to move because like his legs are all padded out, his arms are padded out, and then for some reason his neck, like not like muscles neck, but like fat neck.
Like he's got a thyroid issue.
Yeah. I mean,
but now he looks more like the Boa Bobo in the video game, and that's what's important.
Is that what it is?
Oh yeah, in the game, a Bobo is this like he looks like Clayface.
Oh, okay. Because
I don't know why they never explain it. Because I mean, you've played Double Dragon. It's just a series of going across the map, and it's like, well, here's Will, and Will looks like a werewolf kind of, and he always has a knife. Well, here's Linda, and she's got a whip for some reason.
I gotcha.
So, and then like here's a Bobo. He's a big rock monster looking guy
who can barely walk forward.
Yeah.
Let alone
luckily
run.
You're on a stage that has a conveyor belt into a bottomless pit. Knock him in that.
But like, he's so Like in this movie, I think we're supposed to be afraid of him, like because he's a big monster, and the guys definitely run away from him. But like, he looks like if you were to speed walk, he would never catch you. Like he'd be like, "Oh, slow down." Like he could sneak up on you in your sleep, but other than that, this guy is coming nowhere near you. And like they try throwing bricks at him, and that's the end of the fight. Like all this hype of we're gonna make you so strong, and he never once like punches anyone.
Yeah.
And then he's just like knocked over. Cool. And we are done with action on a Bobo at this point. Like, no more fights for this guy. We beefed him up,
No.
and he never once does anything at all.
So yeah, he's on his back in the theater, and Shuko he cracks his knuckles and turns into a shadow and inhabits Satori's body. And she comes over and is like, yeah, we got to get out of here. And she ends up getting locked in a cage by
Police.
them. And then Shuko leaves her body and like, well, look, now you don't have a key to this cage. And this theater is a fire hazard.
Ooh.
And that's when what's stupid is that they showed them throwing a brick and it hits a gas line. And then it's never explained, I guess. I mean, I guess that's why it explodes. But then they start pouring gasoline, which is very viscous in this.
Yeah. It's like foaming.
It's like frothy.
Like,
yeah. I'm like, have they seen gasoline before?
Look, they
so
couldn't
then they
afford to buy
fire.
a gallon and look at how it flows. Gas was really expensive, like in the double digits, at least 65 cents at the time of filming.
Shit.
It wasn't in the budget. It wasn't in the budget.
We can't afford it. So they light that on fire, and we're thinking like, oh, well, she's going to burn to death in the building. But then she kicks the door open like, oh, okay, great.
Oh,
now they can all leave. And then they run out, and she closes the door. And I'm like, why didn't you just keep going?
What?
There was no reason for you to lock them out. And they're like, she's gone. We got to get out of here. They don't know what's going to explode. They just think the building is on fire. I guess they don't have the fire department in New Angeles, so they never call fire department. Maybe they're squatting illegally. I don't know. But
why did it have to explode? Was fire not enough? If they were going to leave her in the building anyway, why break her out of the cage?
Exactly.
Like, at no point were the stakes needing to be raised here. And, like, if you were going to raise the stakes, later on in the movie, you can absolutely raise the stakes because they're, like, hugely low. But right here, it's like, we raised the stakes and made it even more intense. Then we got her out of trouble only to leave her in that exact same trouble. And it just, like, they could not have thought this through.
No.
At all.
No. Because it's like someone said, look, you have room in the budget for one big explosion. And they were like, yeah, okay, well, it's going to be here. And
like, it's going to be in the car chase. And they're like, did I not tell you this is my mother's station wagon?
My mom's station wagon,
not
no.
blow up the station wagon. You burned down
and
the
this
theater.
Is her boyfriend Rick's truck. You can't crush Rick's truck either. But they do crush Rick's truck because Rick is a dick. So they escape. Sorry, I'm going through my notes now. Yeah. Oh, something I noticed about this movie. Either I just don't notice in other movies, or it's obviously been edited out. But this movie still has cigarette burns in it.
I did
in the
notice
top
that.
Right corner.
Yeah, actually, I did notice that because there's a few times where that happens, and I'm like, oh, we're about to see a transition. You can hear the sound cut out because the music can't carry over between reels. Yeah, I did notice that.
And I thought it was so weird
It's like, what is this outdated technology? And what kills me is they didn't have to leave those in, but I think whoever transitioned this to the digital version we watched recently did not care. Like whoever moved this from like film to VHS, which eventually made it to, streaming, they did not care. No one was like, we are going to fix this little thing that they left in. They're like, nope, carbon copy, leave it in.
And I wouldn't know what it is if it weren't for Fight Club, because they explain what cigarette burns are.
Yeah, I honestly never called them cigarette burns, but they're a real thing, and they help you line up the timing for which frames to cut off, because they come with a tail on the end of the reel, and at the end of the reel you usually leave like 2 or 3 frames on so that you can line it up at the end. I was a projectionist at one point, by the way, one of the many hats I've worn.
That's just what they call it in Fight Club, so I don't know what the industry term is, but obviously because it looks like a cigarette burn, but
right.
But yeah, I saw that and was like, okay, odd. So then we go to what I thought was going to be another like tournament, another fight, because we have Michael Berryman, who I know you've seen before in like The Hills Have Eyes or literally any other. Oh, he was in Weird Science as a mutant biker. So he's got some sort of disorder where he has like no teeth, no hair, but he is the leader of the Maniacs. That's the name of this group.
Yeah.
That Shuko comes in and he has him strangle himself to death. He
strangles his shadow. His shadow strangles his shadow, and that strangles him in real life.
Logic.
Like,
so he dies.
Yeah, he dies. And like what cracks me up is like it does not look like at any point was there a need for a fight, and he like or superpowers. Like it looks like he could have just walked down there, punched him in the face, and it'd been just as effective.
Yeah, because then everyone's like, oh, I guess we're loyal to you now. So now he has gangs because he unites all of the gangs underneath his
gangs are fickle and
umbrella.
Definitely aren't in it for self-interest. They're in it for the structure of the gang business. The
gang it's all about family. So the Power Core finds a Bobo and they force feed him spinach to try and get information on Shuko's base.
This is an awkward scene.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of toilet humor ever. And there's this entire 2 or 3 minute scene that's just
toilet torture. Like it is.
Yeah.
And it's just like you're constantly hearing farts and he's like, please no more, my stomach. So he's just like shitting himself like all over the floor. And they're just like, yep, this is exactly what people want to see. The future. And of course, like it's a funnel. Like they are just funneling it into his mouth. Like,
and he can't swat it away because his arms won't reach there.
He can't reach past his neck? Come on.
Yeah. They probably have him not cemented, but like shackled to the ground by his feet. But as far as his arms, it doesn't matter. He can't do anything.
And like, does other torture not exist? Like, this can't be an element from the game, right? This isn't like something from the game where they were like, he hates spinach or whatever. It's like someone was just like, we've got the scene where they're torturing a Bobo. Here are my thoughts. Force feed him spinach and let him shit himself. I don't have any other torture things. I've never heard of torture really. So
yeah, because waterboarding wasn't around yet, I guess.
It was the 80s. They don't have torture back then.
So the brothers, I don't remember why they end up at this like industrial park, but there's a key element that I thought was really funny
The
that
car
I've
breaks
never
down.
noticed.
It's the car breaks
Oh,
down, and they have to walk.
oh, and that's why they end up there.
Yeah. So this is all right, this is the first half of a big heartfelt moment where we're supposed to feel joy for them later, is them tragically losing the car. Not their lifelong friend who made promises to their dad. That's not the heartfelt moment. It's that they've lost their car. The station wagon with wood panels and the exhaust coming through the top, shooting fire out the back.
So no more Dragon Wagon.
No more. Okay, yeah. And
so we
that's
end up
why
at this
we're
industrial
watching.
park, and the camera comes up over the water, and you see them pull a bucket. Oh, they get into a boat chase.
Well, hang on.
Right?
First, the gang is practicing their drum line, where they're just like beating on stuff in the park, and the Lees are like, "Shit, it's the other gangs," and they're like, "Yeah, drumming," and they like one at a time go to attack the brothers, and the rest of them are still sitting there like, "Yeah, get them," as they're continuing to just bang on cars, do stuff, and not fight. And there's this elaborate like running away and fighting scene all around where like they're like it's like the Warriors, where all the gangs have their own thing. Like there's the Mohawks, there's the clowns, and then out of nowhere, a mailman tries to like jump on them and like face plants on the ground. And like,
but he's fine.
but like it kills me because like, is he in the gang or is he just a legit mailman? Because I didn't see a mailman gang. There's just the one who is just like, hey, a bunch of people trying to beat up some guys. I've always wanted to beat up some guys. And like running over there, I in no way think that this is like a mailman gang. It's just one mailman.
Yeah, that's Terry the mailman, and he was just delivering mail one day, and he said, "Hey, you want to be in this movie?" What I was going to say is that the water is flammable. They pull a bucket of water out and they throw it onto the barrel fire, and the barrel
erupts. Yeah. So
yeah,
the water is
that's
flammable
what I
for
was
some
going to say.
reason. And that's a real important plot device.
I just thought it was a nifty little something. They pepper so many like little strange details that you would only notice on multiple viewings of this movie.
Right. Someone who really dedicates himself to learning the in canon lore of the movie Double Dragon.
Guilty.
But yeah, so they get into the shed, and there's a motorcycle there, and they're like, yes, we are going to motorcycle. And he like touches the motorcycle, both wheels fall off, the handlebar rips off. Like, who set this up? Because you didn't like, this wasn't like, oh, it's just old and breaking down. Someone's like, we place the wheel here, then we remove the axles on which they spin, also disconnecting the chain and the handlebar, and then we just wait for months for someone to stumble across this because it's going to be hilarious.
But we're not going to be there to see it.
But so they get in a boat and they have a boat chase. There are gang members on Sea-Doos all of a sudden. The Sea-Doo gang.
The Sea-Doo gang. Everyone's going to have their thing. They go through the Los Angeles canals or whatever, and then the boat.
One of the guys on a Sea-Doo, for like no reason, he's not like lining up his shot and is like, now I got him. He's just there and goes, oh, rocket, and just like fires a missile. And it's like not aimed. He's not like, lining up, he's just like, rocket, I'm bored. I'm bored and I have a rocket button. And it goes nowhere near them. It doesn't like come close. It just like rocket over there. That building's gone. I had fun today. This is a good gang day.
Destruction.
Yeah.
So they crash through a sign, and the boat explodes, but they've jumped off, so they think that they're dead.
Yeah. I don't think
dead.
they had any idea of how to end that chase scene. So it's like the running into the sign just out of nowhere. It's like they're racing, they're trying to go out, and there's just like a sign. And they didn't.
And they crash through it like it's wood, but those signs are not wood. They're
they're
steel.
aluminum.
Or aluminum, yeah, not steel. It's just... So they get out of the water. Well, not after they make a joke about how the water's so bad that if you swallow, you'll get like dysentery. So there's another toilet joke for you.
But like the Sea-Doo gang also is like, okay, they're at the bottom of the river, called the Divers Gang because they have scuba divers. They have a gang of scuba divers as well.
There's a gang for everything in the new world. So we go back to Shuko's lair, and this is the funniest part of the entire movie because the two very Chinese henchmen are named Huey and Louis, and he asks if he has any news.
I didn't notice that. I did not.
Yeah, he says, Huey, Louis, you got any news? Again, I watched it with subtitles on or captions on.
That's such a bad joke that they should feel bad. Like, I hope the writer.
But it further cements it in the 80s, does it not?
It is. It is an 80s movie.
Oh, that joke fell flat. I thought it was going to get a laugh, but no, I guess not.
No, it's one of those jokes that's just like so pained. Like it was out of date when this movie was released.
Which makes it even better.
Wow, I didn't even notice that at all.
So we see a few other things. They have oxygen booths around for people to, because they have like black rain, and people have these like weird, like clear hats when it rains and oxygen masks. So they have oxygen booths around like phone booths. Right. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing. They find out how to get into Shuko's tower. So Marion and Billy and Jimmy go, and they're crawling through the air ducts, and
three across. They're not like in line.
Yeah,
not like in line going a direction. They are all three together going through the air ducts because they're just that big.
Which is a strange detail, because they could have easily, if they're trying to go for sexualizing Alyssa Milano, they could have had them all in a line and had her in the front and them staring at her ass the whole time.
I would have been on board with that had they.
But they missed that.
But they missed
that
it
part
entirely.
Of it. So weird.
We should remake the movie specifically to have Alyssa Milano.
Specifically, because we know how much she loves that stuff.
No, okay. But anyway,
so they're at his penthouse, and the most painful segment. So they're talking to Marion's dad and trying to bribe him, and he's like, "I'm not bribable, blah blah blah." And they see the medallion,
which has nothing to do with the rest of the plot. Like bribing the chief of police has nothing to do with the getting the dragon amulets plot. They're just bribing him, and it's not even really clear why.
Which he doesn't have to do that. He has this medallion that lets him inhabit other people's bodies. He could easily inhabit the chief's body and be like, well, we're gonna let the gangs do what they want to do because that's what we want to do, and then that's it. So they're above the penthouse, like listening to the whole thing,
Right.
and they're like, "Oh, there's the thing we need." He happens to have fishing line. They have, I think, like a stick of gum and then a pin that Marion's wearing, and they rig up this thing, and so they're dropping it down, and Lash is watching it all happen, like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's weird."
Well,
Rather than saying, "Hey, boss, like, what's this?" She just watches it happen. But the weirdest part of it is that if they were to have gotten that amulet and they pulled it up, how would they have gotten it through the grate? What was going to be the next step?
I didn't even think about that. I was just
I
like,
got mad.
This plan is so dumb to begin with. I didn't even think of a step 2.
Yeah. It's like they get it all the way up, and it's just hanging from the ceiling, and they're like, "Oh, well, what are we going to do? Like, we can't, can we try and combine the two through? Because if we do that, then like something's supposed to happen when they join together, I think." Because they still don't know what this thing does. Their half has never done anything.
And they keep... Oh, okay. So, yes, Lash is looking up at them like, what are these idiots doing? And rather than, calling attention to anybody, she grabs an ancient scimitar and starts stabbing the vent. Now, she clearly knows where they are because she can see like the string landing there, and she misses every time. But they all come tumbling down, and Alyssa Milano is like, "Hey, Daddy, I guess I'm grounded." Not like, "These guys are crazy and destroying the world. You should arrest them. They're leading gangs and trying to murder people." Arrest them. It's, "I guess I'm grounded."
Hi, Dad. Hi, son.
That girl's in trouble.
Yep. So they fight. I don't know. My notes, I guess there's a fight but they end up at the bottom of an elevator shaft for some reason. And Shuko walks to the elevator and is just like, turns into a shadow and just jumps down. Yep, just, okay. So they're down in where the experiments are, which is where I guess Aboba was turned into an abomination. Abomination. Nope. Tried to make it work and it didn't. So they're like, "Oh, this is weird. Is this a morgue?" And he's like prodding these poor people. Their skin is gray. They're stiff. They're cold. I would say, yeah, they're dead. But he's like, "No, they're not dead. They're just
I've always wanted to touch a dead
animation."
Guy.
Yeah. But I guess because he holds his hand over their mouth and can feel that they're still breathing, I guess. I don't know. So
I think this is a cameo coming up, but I honestly don't know.
The basketball player?
Yeah. Is he a cameo?
I have no idea. He's a tall, bald guy.
He's a tall, bald guy. He's got like a couple of lines. They're clearly showing him in a basketball jersey for the what is it? The New Angeles Dragons. And he has Tower on the back of his jersey. And he has like no fight at all. They just crush him with the door as soon as he stands up. And
yeah, that's because they lure him to this area where there's like you said, it's a cover for a vent,
right?
And they push this button, and it's slowly coming down, and then boom, like cartoon crushes completely. Like I guess squishes him in there. And then there's Shuko standing there, still as a shadow, like, "Ha ha ha, I'm a shadow." And they turn the fan on, and then it sucks him away.
I thought he wasn't physical. Like, isn't that the whole point of this? But he gets sucked out of a fan. Through a fan.
In little pieces.
Yeah.
Like digital, like, pixelation.
Now, through extreme plot contrivancy, the brothers get separated, with Billy winding up with Alyssa Milano and Jimmy winding up with Kashuko. And Jimmy gets possessed at this point. But Billy winds up going to the Power Core base and like just basically has what's supposed to be, I guess, an emotional moment where he can't get the stupid amulet working. He's like, I just don't know how it works. And he's just playing with it again. And then Jimmy's there, but Jimmy's possessed. So they kind of fight for like a second until Jimmy...
He tries to throw. He's like, you just never did anything for me anyway, and throws it, and it stops. And comes back to him, and is like, oh, now it works. Now that I don't want it, it works.
Right.
He's like a cat. Or the amulet's like a cat, whatever.
But yeah, so he beats up Jimmy a little bit, and then it starts working for him. And like Jimmy comes to, and then all the gangs come in. Like
and
all
just
of
watch.
Yeah.
They just watch them.
No, they don't watch them. They try beating them up.
Oh, well.
Because remember, Mailman strikes back. Mailman comes back, and he tries again. And it's like, I think Mailman joined a gang today. Like, he left the job and was like, you know what? My true calling was to be a bad
He's just
ganger.
trying to make a good impression. Trying to make a good impression on his first day.
Maybe he saw how bad the other gang members were at fighting and was like, I could do that. I thought I had to have talent.
Did you catch the flip that Jimmy does that's very clearly in reverse?
I didn't.
Yeah, so there's a part, I think it's right when he throws the amulet away. And Jimmy does this, like, he's standing below and then does this, like, a backflip up. But it's very clearly the actor or the stuntman did the flip off of the, yeah. And so it's shown in reverse, and I'm like, wow.
And, like, you can see a clock behind him going backwards and, like, other people walking in reverse. A car driving down the street, a horse going backwards. I didn't notice that, but that's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this fight is when we see the Double Dragon arcade box.
Okay.
Real subtle too. It's the only thing in frame.
Clearly I missed it because I was taking such detailed notes.
Well, you have to take detailed notes. There's so much to this movie. The depth. So cavernous.
So deep. Like a kiddie pool.
And through extreme contrivances, Kashuko winds up with both amulets. And suddenly he is like two people? Two
demon swordsmen?
Demon swordsmen. Yeah, that's about right. And so they're like
heinous yellow teeth.
They're like fighting them and trying to hold them back. And suddenly a Bobo in the other room is like looking in the mirror like, what have I become? I used to be something. I was a Shakespearean actor. Why am I doing this movie? And he's like, you know what? I should end this movie. And so he breaks free of his bonds and comes out and is like, hey, just turn the lights on. And
he hates the lights.
He hates the lights. And so I guess they did set that up in a scene earlier where he's talking about his sunglasses. Like, oh, don't turn on the lights. I wasn't wearing my sunglasses.
Yeah. Not my shades.
Yeah, not my shades. Vanilla Ice, ladies and gentlemen. And so they turn on the lights, and the two demon swordsmen are like blinded, like, oh God, everything's awful. And so they can then fight them, and they wind up taking the amulets from them, which gives them a costume change.
And they get to rehash a joke that was just mentioned where they're about to say, oh shit, but because it's a kid's movie, he's like, you said it, as he combines the two together. So then they get him, and they're about to do it, and he says, oh, and he's like, you said it, clink. And then, yeah, they get into these, oh, man. The gis that they're wearing are so...
The 80s-ist karate gis. Sparkly red and teal karate gis.
No sleeves, nothing underneath.
Oh no!
Surprised they weren't just like sweaty with like a gold chain.
Man, this is supposed to be their version of the video game outfits, and it just so bad. But then they beat up Vanilla Ice, who's not even fighting. He has no abilities. He's not like a strong warrior guy who just got more powers. He's just a business guy. They're beating up like, Elon Musk, like two superheroes beating up Elon Musk, just beating the crap out of him. And he's like, yep, you guys win. And they keep punching him.
He's like, burning down the theater, that was a mistake. I'll buy you a new one. It's like, yeah, that's why we're sad, because you burned the theater down.
And Yoda turns out to be a Jedi because she comes back when the amulets combine. Like,
I said she Mufasa's. Like, she comes back as like...
Yeah.
Because she's like in this cloud, and she's like, now you've fulfilled the destiny of the double dragon. It's like, what are you talking about?
What? Since when are you mystical? Like... There's no reason to think she had like any superpowers other than the fact that she was played by an Asian actress. It had to be racism where they're like, Asian people can do that though. I've seen anime.
And that's based on real life.
That's what they really have. Their superpowers. And it's the least necessary comeback at all. She does not deliver wisdom. She does not deliver, and by the way, Kashuko was your father. Nothing. It is, hey, good job, guys. Even though I'm dead, good job, guys.
I'm sad that there was never any part.
There was never 50% of the women. Sorry.
No, I'm just sad that there was never a part where a gang member comes up, like shuffles up, punches a girl in the stomach, and then takes her off with them. Because that is the opening to the Double Dragon video game.
Yeah.
They shuffle up, just
doubles over, and they just carry her away.
And then it's like dun 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 dun. I played a lot of Double Dragon. A lot.
How does the soundtrack go again?
Nah. Okay. The viewers at home can we're on YouTube. Just hit rewind. And you can meme it, you can you can GIF it, whatever you want to do. Yeah. If this is how I make my internet fame, then I'm okay with it.
You're the guy who hums the Double Dragons theme.
Yeah. So then our heroes ride off into the sunset in their dragon wagon that has been rehabilitated.
They did not. They gave them a new car, and it is still a station wagon.
Yep. And then the very last scene.
But it's also clearly the same station wagon.
Oh yeah, they said that they fixed it.
Yeah. They didn't give them a new car. It's the same station wagon.
Yeah. Because he's like, oh, the dragon wagon. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
At least they fixed it for him. The power core has mechanics.
Sure.
But the last scene is our two Chinese henchmen that have signs that say, we'll work for,
hench for evil
maniac,
boss.
whatever.
Yeah.
But then they're like, they start arguing in like very clear Midwestern English.
Yeah.
Because the guys aren't from China.
Right.
Like the one dude is a very well-known, he's actually in Die Hard, a really well-known
Yeah.
stuntman turned actor. And he's from like St. Louis, I think. He's from Missouri. And he just looks very Chinese because I guess he's a first generation. But yeah, they're arguing back and forth about like how each one of them screwed the deal up. Like, oh, I can't believe that you screwed it up like this. Oh no, it wasn't me. And it's them just arguing through the credits.
But like, so the bad guy owns this like empire. He owns a breakfast cereal conglomerate. His business is everywhere. He's incredibly wealthy. He donates like millions of dollars to the police officers at the end of the movie. At what point is he like, crime is worth the risk? Like, and it's petty crime. It's not like grand crime. He's not like overthrowing a country. He's just like, I'm going to run the gangs. Like, imagine Elon Musk, because yes, I feel Elon Musk is our current supervillain. Elon Musk is just like, you know what? I really think street gangs are the business of the future. I should be investing in clown costumes, mohawks, mailmen. Like his business was more profitable,
way
than
more.
His criminal empire was.
They give no credence or explanation as to why he wants to do this because, like, I mean, you already said it. He's got this conglomerate, this tons of money, and people know about it too. Because when they do, which by the way, I wish they had come up with this check writer thing where you can speak into it and it writes a check for you. That was cool.
That was really cool. If they had set it up even a minute or two before they use it.
Yeah. But he just says like 157,000 or million or something dollars, not knowing if that's, or they clearly know that he has that money in an account.
Right.
So there's Double Dragon for you.
Double Dragons. So what's really interesting is one of the first writing credits I noticed is Paul Dini. I don't know if you know who that is, but Batman fans are going to know who that is. He was a big Batman writer and even worked on the animated series for a long time.
Yeah. Did you look up the filmography of the director like I told you to?
I didn't. I really just saw Paul Dini in the credits and was like, oh, well, that's a shame.
The director, I think this is only feature film. All these other ones are concert DVDs, music videos for like Genesis, Phil Collins, Yes, I think, like a bunch, like 100+ credits, and this is his only film.
This is only film.
Yep.
Oh man.
So there you go. That kind of gives you an idea as to why things are the way they are.
Man, he probably left this movie off his resume.
All right, hit me with the movie next week.
All right, because I think we should be talking about movies worth talking about. The next week's movie is The Joker.
Okay.
Now, I know what you're thinking. I thought we were going for bad movies. You just wait. This movie is definitely worth talking about, and I could make fun of this movie all day. That's right, people who like Oscar bait.
Mental health is not Oscar bait.
Mental health is always like Oscar bait. Forrest Gump won all of the Oscars.
In a year that, and I wanted to go on my gravestone that says Pulp Fiction should have won Best Picture.